All right, all right. It looks like we just got the room opened up here, Helene, for today's edition of Trade of the Day Live. So excited to be here. I know people are just now popping into the room, so
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to
excited to be here
welcome.
too.
Exactly, exactly. No, it's love getting to sit down and do these sessions here. I know we have a few folks that were joining us here live this morning, so welcome into the room, everybody. Go ahead and post in the chat. Just say hi, say what's up. I'm so glad to see you here. So thanks for being here. We have a couple exciting things to share with you this morning. Interesting day in the markets, Helene. It's
Oh yeah.
starting to really jump headfirst into earnings season today, and pretty mixed reactions so far. So, what are your thoughts on what you've seen so far today?
Yeah, I think, people are sitting on the edge of their seats to really see what's happening with earnings, especially after the run that we've had. It's really teed things up to, expect perfection if we're going to stay at these levels. So, I think that people are very closely watching to see what's going to be happening this week with earnings and with some other data that's coming out about the economy. But, I think everyone's on edge, just waiting to see how everything comes into place.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here. Just give me 1 second to get that pulled up. But I totally agree, though. It was I always get a little a little anxious seeing whether it's a stock or just the index level, rallying, making new all-time highs, heading into something like a big earnings season, which is exactly what we're doing right now. And like I said, really kicked things off today. A lot of the major financials here in the U.S. reported. And interestingly enough, we actually opened today at a new all-time high and rallied up, hit a new intraday high. We traded above 6,300 for the first time ever. So that's
Amazing.
certainly something to be applauded. But of course, stocks have cooled now, roughly flat on the day, kind of near session lows. So been kind of a mixed day. A lot of those earnings reports we got today were actually in the pre-market. So we had J.P. Morgan Chase, Citigroup. We had Wells, BlackRock. So significant number of major financials reporting today. And, it was pretty mixed bag on what they reported. JP Morgan and Citi were pretty good. The others were kind of mixed. So you can see that in the reaction to stock prices.
Mhm.
But of course, as you said, we got some, had a lot of economic data expected this week. We got the CPI report this morning too for June. And while the headline number was in line with expectations, it was about three tenths of a point higher than the previous month's reading. So, it was signaling, this could be some of that inflation, people have been, projecting for a while to, be as a side effect downstream of tariffs, so that could starting to be showing up somewhat in consumer prices. So, that's something the market's been pretty uneasy about. It's of late been largely looking through it, but, that it certainly has been on the horizon and on the radar for investors. So, could be starting to show up there. And I think that's kind of what has markets on their heels today, kind of sitting back, just waiting to see, more earnings come in. We have some more inflation data tomorrow. The PPI report, has a little more read through to the the PCE, which of course is the Fed's preferred method for gauging inflation. They've said that numerous times. So probably a lot of eyes on that report tomorrow. But what are you
Absolutely.
seeing here in the chart, Helene? We kind of just covered, just today's price action, kind of what's moving things today, what's got investors paying attention. But what are you seeing just in the long term here, in this chart?
In the long term, of course, we're in a tremendous bull run. I think that's hard to deny, even with that dip in April and March. But, right now we have been in this prolonged overheated period. And as we've said plenty of times before, this can go on for quite some time, but we are due to pull back. I think that everyone's just waiting to see what is going to cause that pullback at this point. But we've been basically sideways here for almost 2 weeks, and
Hmm.
nothing's really pushed us that much higher. Even though we did hit, as you said, a new high today, but nothing's really pushed us that far lower. So I think it would take something tremendous to really push us even higher from here without some sort of constructive pullback in the short term.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that's exactly what's showing up in the chart right now. If you kind of hone in just in the last, as you said, couple about call it week and a half, ever since we broke out to this new high here, we have edged out two new all-time highs, but just barely. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, breaking out significantly above this level. We haven't done that. We hit a new closing high here, hit a new intraday high here, but immediately dropped down thereafter. So that's being reflected down here too in this MACD study down below. So if you see this one, right as the market was accelerating, we finally broke out of this consolidation pattern right here. You see there was a short blip of momentum building in the markets. We broke out, made those new all-time highs on several occasions right there. But ever since then, momentum, it's kind of petered out again. And we were anticipating this, of course, heading into this week, big earnings, a lot of fresh economic data, things that can certainly move markets. And, I think investors, coming into this week, we kind of saw a little bit of selling on Friday, a little de-risking heading into the weekend and, what's to come this week. Obviously, trade talks and tariffs are a little more prevalent now than they have been over the past couple months as we've been recovering off those April lows. So, just a couple, newer uncertainties being reintroduced to the markets. And so you can see right here, of course, our MACD is actually signaling a sell signal just because the momentum's fading currently at the index level. So you're seeing that right there. And I think you're also seeing that being reflected in this chart here too. I know, Helene, this is one we always love to look at. This is that advanced decline line specifically for the S&P 500 index. So this is just looking at those advancing versus declining issues for just the S&P 500 stocks. And so you can see down here is the line specifically that we're focusing on. And so, of course, when it's rising, that means more of the total volume of S&P 500 stocks is increasing in price. When it declines, it means the opposite, right? So when you see that line over the past couple months, you can see right here. This would have been last week when we made that new closing high. And then, just take a look at today. Even though we edged out a new intraday high, this line's starting to slope down. So you're starting to see a little bit of pullback in that really strong momentum we've seen lately, a little bit of cooling off. And again, this is something we've been forecasting, and it's starting to show up more in the price action right there. So, I think that's, exactly what we've been kind of talking about for about a week and a half now, that,
Yeah.
things have been pretty overbought. And that's okay. That happens in great bull runs,
Mhm.
and also pullbacks are totally normal and totally to be expected in a powerful bullish uptrend. That's how consolidation happens. That's how rotation in markets happen. And rotation, rotating out of some of the winners, having that rising tide lift all boats, that truly is what powers bull markets over the long run. You expect your leaders to lead and continue to do that most of the time, but you do eventually have to have some of those other stocks, start to pick up. They maybe not outperform over the long term, but they're going to start participating to the upside. And I think we're going to start seeing that here, maybe the next couple of weeks. But again, as you said, Helene, certainly in the long term, the trend looks really, really strong right now.
Exactly. That the outlook is still extremely bullish. We are just, expecting, looking at the technicals, the shorter term pullback, which is usually just a quick pullback. People are taking profits, we're taking a breather. And that's really important for a constructive bull run. You aren't just going to go straight up. That's just not reasonable. So still very, very bullish, but just expecting this shorter term pullback.
Yep, exactly, 100%. So yeah, I think that's about all I wanted to cover. Just looking at the index level and kind of the S&P 10,000 foot view level of the technicals. But I did want to go ahead and hop into my trade that I spotted for today. So
Yeah,
if
go for
that's,
it.
did you want to share anything else, Elaine, talking about these?
No, go for it. Go ahead and jump in the
All right.
trade.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and hop over to my Think or Swim, actually. And this is really exciting here, folks. I don't know. You may have been able to catch in on the session where Chuck and I sat down yesterday and talked about this incredible indicator we've developed here in-house at the Hughes Optioneering team. It's called our P.A.T.I indicator. And this is just an incredibly powerful trading tool. And specifically, it's zoomed in. I have zoomed in and honed in on this stock right here. It's Vertiv. As many mornings like I do, I log in, see where our trading tools have spotted that day, see what opportunities are out there in the markets, what looks attractive. And I honed in on this one right here because this was one of the really strong buy signals that Patty spotted this morning. And again, this is a tool that we've created in-house, has been just nailing some great trade recommendations lately. It's been, pretty impressive, some of the breakouts it's been able to spot.
Oh yeah.
Um, but you can see right here, this green up arrow, this is indicating we have a buy signal. This has an algorithm running in the background. It's automatically going out seeking these in the market for you. So all I had to do was log in and see this right here. And so again, you can see here's our green up arrow spotting that buy signal today. can see Vertiv has obviously been an incredibly strong price uptrend over the past couple of months. You see there's a bit of a pullback, and now it's starting to reaccelerate. You can see that price action started to swing back up, gain some more momentum. And it's also being confirmed down here too. We have this lower study down here, which is a really unique part of this P.A.T.I indicator. This is what we call our momentum radar. And what you like to see down here, this is just this, it works in tandem with the main P.A.T.I algorithm that displays the buy signals up here. When you pair that down here and you see these green bars starting to show up, well, once you see a green bar, that means the momentum in a stock, it's starting to trigger. That means it's starting to have a bit of a breakout, and it's spotting that. So you can see, of course, we had a couple red bars right here as the stock pulled back, but take a look. We have a new green bar right here. And, if you zoom out, you start getting this just massive green wave a lot of times when you start having these, bullish reversals and momentum reaccelerations in a stock. So this looked like a very, very strong signal to me. I loved seeing this new breakout today paired on the momentum radar right there. So, Helene, I thought this looked like a very attractive bullish opportunity. And now the way I look
Absolutely.
to go
Really
ahead and
strong pick there.
yeah, I thought so too. Obviously that's been a great winner of late, but as we said earlier, we're heading into earnings season. There's a lot of extra time premium built into options right now.
Yes.
So, it's a little more difficult to find a reasonably priced call option to go long with just buying a call. So I was like, well, keeping that in mind, we have a lot of extra time premium. How about I make it work in my favor, right? I'm going to go ahead and try and find a call debit spread. You take advantage of all that extra time premium that's baked into the options right now. And so I found this call spread right here, Helene. It's the VRT August 15th, and it's looking to buy to open the 105 and sell to open the 110 right here. It's kind of right on the line of where I'd look to enter at. This is a 5-point spread, so of course I would want to set my limit price at 4 points or lower, just to guarantee that I have at least a 25% profit potential. And again, it's right at hovering on that line. The price is bouncing right around. When I looked at it, it was kind of currently coming at 3.95 earlier. I saw it
Okay.
dip a little bit below that, so it's kind of hovering in there.
Yeah.
But you can take a look at the profit potential right here. If you were able to get in on this trade at 3.95 points, has a really solid profit potential, in about a month's time of 26.6%. And I mean, take a look at this downside potential protection for the trade as well. I mean,
Wow.
you can see, of course, if the stock increases, great profit potential. If it remains flat, still has that full profit potential realized at option expiration. But take a look at that downside protection. This stock, VRT, could sell off 12.5% from its current price level by the time the option expiration rolls around. It would still be set up to realize that full profit potential. So that is an example of spotting a great bullish opportunity in the market. Looking, kind of reading the table, reading the playing field, seeing all that extra time value in the options, and making it work in your favor. So that's how I'd go ahead and look to play that trade today.
That's awesome. I love that. The downside protection is amazing because, we've all been in a position where we've looked to enter a bullish directional call option and maybe, momentum falls out or there's a bad headline and it sells off and suddenly you have a loser. So I know these call option debit spreads are just such a great way to give you that downside protection that things don't have to go exactly how you think they're going to go and you'll still make that profit potential, which is phenomenal. I mean, that just increases your odds of making money.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. So, yeah, no, I was really excited about this trade today. The setup looked great. Patty, as we
Oh, Blaine, I think we lost you there just for a second. Let's see. Well, looks like we lost Blaine for a moment, so I'll go ahead and jump into my trade. Give me a second here as I go ahead and get this set up. So let's see. Hey, Blaine, welcome back. Can't hear you. We can't hear you. That's okay. So I went ahead and my trade of the day is for XLC. This is the Communication Services Select Sector ETF. And although it's communication services, you would think that it'd be more telecommunication, but interestingly enough, it's more like big tech. So the top holdings include Meta, Google, Netflix. There's also Comcast in there, Disney, so social media, big tech names. And I just absolutely love this setup. Well, First of all, of course, I'm always looking to confirm the bull trend and the buy signal with both a long and short term moving average. So my long term is the 200 moving average, 200-day moving average, short term 35-day EMA. Typically, when stocks are in really strong bullish trends, they are trading above that 35-day EMA. And we found that through extensive testing, because we do a lot of back testing in order to prove our strategies. And so, as you can see, XLC is currently trading above those two levels. Additionally, here we're seeing just a tremendous run, a series of higher highs and higher lows, which only very bullish stocks do. As you can see, we have that high there in May, that high there in June, that high there in late June. And those lows, as I said, are also getting higher. And so this is a very bullish trend. It confirms the bull trend for the stock. Additionally, we have that 52-week high. I mean, we've had a series of 52-week highs, which only occurs in these very strong bull trends. Now, kind of like what we were talking about when we were looking at the broader market, strong bull trends can't just go up forever. They have to pull back in the short term in order for them to be sustainable. And so we've seen that time and time again. Late May, we had that run up and then we saw that pull back to the middle channel. We saw that run up again in early June, that pull back to the middle channel, that run up late June, and then into July, we've seen that pull back to the middle channel. And what we often find is that these tremendous bull runs, you see them bouncing off of the middle counter channel. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. I'll go ahead and zoom in just a little bit to really show you guys that a little bit closer. Okay, so we're seeing that these bounces off of the middle channel before a series of trades higher. And so that's what we're seeing here. Just a couple trading days ago, we saw that bounce off of the middle channel and we appear to be bouncing off of it and trading higher. They look prime to take off from here. And so what I was looking at was a call option purchase. And I'll go ahead and walk through how I'd pick that option with you guys. So looking at my Robinhood account, I'm going to go ahead and look at the options for XLC. Typically, we like to be about a month out with our option expiration. So I'm going to go to August 15th. And then if you're familiar with our 1% rule, we like to limit the time value to 1% or less of the stock price. And that really allows us to profit if the stock moves 1% or less at option expiration. It increases our odds of having a winning trade because that time value, decays to zero at option expiration. So we want to limit that time value and increase our odds of winning. So the first strike that I see that meets that 1% rule is the 102 strike, and it's trading at 565. So 102 is well below that lower channel. And should give us some good downside protection while also giving us that leverage that options provide. So I would like to trade the 102 strike for August 15 for XLC.
That looks like an awesome trade there too, Helene. Sorry for the technical difficulties too there a second ago. My Zoom kind of had a mind of its own, and the camera and mic and everything. I started getting error messages everywhere. I didn't touch anything. It just started panicking on me. So
It
hey,
happens.
technology, right?
Oh
So
yeah, it
maybe
happens.
your comm services ETF there can help me out. The nice tech comm services there could use an assist. But no, that looked like a great trade. So I love it.
Appreciate it.
Obviously tech along with the comm services sector. Those have been two of the absolute leaders. I mean, they have just been knocking the ball out of the park this year. Had a
Mhm.
little bit of a pullback there, as those stocks, we had a little bit of that market rotation, occurring, the last couple of weeks, kind of still continuing right now. So yeah, that looks like a great trade setup. So way to go. Strong find there. I love it.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. So, well, folks, that's everything we're going to cover today in today's live call. But stick around because we actually have something really exciting for you. If you just saw how I found my trade that I spotted today, it actually wasn't me spotting it. It was that tool that we talked about, just briefly here today. It was P.A.T.I. It was the incredible, trading tool indicator scanner that we've built here. As I said, it's been spotting a lot of the great breakouts lately. Had some awesome ones this morning, just like that one I talked about there for VRT. And so if you want to learn a little bit more about that, Chuck and I, as I said, we sat down yesterday, had a very nice live session. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and set up a video to show you that replay here. So highly encourage you to stick around. I'm actually going to go ahead and post a link in the chat too. You'll find that useful. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my camera off. Again, highly encourage you to stick around. Going to go ahead and start that play, that video right now. So Helene, if you want to go ahead and sign off, I'm going to go ahead and hop off and get that taken care of. But thanks again so much to everybody for attending here. Thanks for being here live, and I think you'll enjoy the video. So see you back here on Thursday, folks.
Okay, see you, Blaine. Thank you guys so much again for joining us. As Blaine said, he's going to go ahead and set up that video. P.A.T.I was an indicator of that and scanner that was developed in-house, and it provides amazing buy signals. Not only do you get a list of all the trades on a buy signal on a given day, it also goes ahead and prints the profit target and the stop loss that Chuck would look to use for that trade. So not only does it find the stock that Chuck would enter, it also gives you the profit target that he would look for it to hit and also the stop loss as well. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for joining, and we'll be back again with you guys here in a bit.
Fantastic room here. Thank you all so much for joining in for today's call. And I think this is probably a good time to go ahead and get things started here. So let's go ahead and kick things off here now. But before we do, we always like to remind folks just of these couple reminders before we kick things off. So please remember, folks, the profits and performance that are shown today are not always typical, and you do have the possibility of losing money, of course. We all know that. Now, the majority of the trades expressed, they're based on trade alerts as issued by Chuck Hughes programs, and not all traders took all trades, and we cannot guarantee any future results. So what you'll see today are some of the best examples over the last few months. And of course, there were some bigger winners, there were smaller winners too, and there were some losers, obviously, as well. With any trading system, you're going to get that. Now, since entry and exit points will vary depending on individual trade timing, of course, the profits and performance will also vary even amongst customers when they're receiving even the same trade alert. So folks, always make sure to only trade with risk capital, trade at your own risk, and see the terms on the TradeOne's homepage for more information. And just one last quick thing before we begin. We all know this, but again, we like to remind this to everybody, folks. Just, in trading, there always are going to be some losing trades. We all know that. That's just part of the trading game. And there's no such thing as a crystal ball that finds winners every single time. As much as everybody would love to have that no such crystal ball exists, right? So if you cannot handle a losing trade, then you have no business trading with real money and with risk capital. There's always going to be some amount of losses in trading. That's just part of the trading game. But our goal here today at the Hughes Optioneering team is to help give you an edge in the markets, and that's exactly why we're here. So if you just joined the room, everybody, my name is Blaine Markham. I'm the Chief Trading Strategist here at the Optioneering team, and I'm so excited to be here live this morning. And why we're here is because I have an urgent update for you all. Last year, as I just alluded to earlier, a world-famous trader, trading legend, he actually developed a breakthrough trading algorithm that turned the industry on its ear. Now, right out of the gate, this trading algorithm started finding opportunities just like these. There was a 38% gain on Apple in just 4 days, a pretty solid return. How about this one? A 250